Hello, so today we're gonna talk a little bit more about tables, especially how to iterate a table using iPairs functions and pairs functions. It's also known for loops, for loops K and V. But before I show a little bit more about tables, let's see the project that we're gonna make. The project is to randomize the parameters of each item. So for example, if I have here two tracks, one with voices and another one with these mouse sounds. So we will start by selecting these items and using our last script that we made, the random sequencer, and I will place it twice. And let me place now this texture. Okay, this is enough. And now we're gonna randomize this pitch because the texture is a little dull. Okay, so we will select the pitches. I have here the script already done that we're gonna make. And this script randomize 5 parameters: the position of each item, where it is on the timeline. So this will randomize between less 500 milliseconds and more 500 milliseconds. So each item will go in this, be randomized in his range. Mean pitch and max pitch will randomize the pitch of each item. So this will be, for example, between less 15 semitones and not so much. Let's go less 10 and up to 7 semitones. So each item will be in this range. Let's change the rate. By that I mean how stretched will be each item. So it can be twice as fast or twice as stretched. So let's go to half and doubling the rate of each item. And let's change the volume to be between less 6 dB and like 3 dB. And the pen can be in any position, so between less 1 and 1. So let's select everything and randomize. So now it will be a little better. Kinda cool. And now let's do the same thing for this one, but I will change some parameters between 12 pitch and 38 pitch. Let's do some. This I don't need to change much, like this. Oh, actually a little slower maybe. And position I mostly don't want to change, so just this. And main pen, yeah, this is okay. So let's hear now. So yeah, this is a cool way to create a texture using two scripts that one that we already made and one that we're gonna make now. So let's first talk a bit more about tables. Okay, so let's review a little about tables because it is really important. So table is more or less like a locker where you put things. This is a table that I used, really complex tables with tables inside a table that I use for my script called layers. As you can see, you have many sub tables inside any table. So this is the way I normally draw my table, so I can learn about it later, like 1, 2, 3, 4 years later. I can still know what the structure of each table. So basically here I have this table called project configs, and to the left of this line I have the key, which is the Reaper project, and to the right what it is storing, the value. So inside this project is another table, and in this table I have, for example, the key bypass, which you return a boolean, or the key parameters, which you return another table with integers as keys that return another table with many things inside. And all of these you can also store this way. This information can be stored this way. So I have the project configs table, and inside it I have the keys as projects, Reaper projects, and this will open up another table that have the keys parameters and have also the key bypass and remove fx. Inside you have more tables. So these are two good ways that you can comment your tables, or by drawing somewhere and saving the image, or you can comment inside your code something like this structure. So these are both ways to store information about your table, especially when things get more complicated. So let's see. Remember how to create a table. So local, to create local variables. Remember, it's best to always create local variables, or the less scope that you can. Sometimes you need to create global variables, but not now. So local t is a table, and we can store things inside this table, like the first key equals to 10, and we can access this like this and print it, and it will return 10. Let me put a clear console function. We can also say table dot insert. So we say which table, it's table t, and which value, 20. So now if I save, we can also go here in our watch list and search for table t. It won't appear. Why? Because it's a local variables. Here the watch list will just show global variables. So if I remove this just for debugging, we can see here the values. And this is a good way to watch your table. We will leave it as global for now because we are debugging it. And also you can, in the table insert, you have hidden arguments that you can insert here and say which index you are adding to. So I can add in the first index, and that will make all of the other index go +1. So for example, now I will swap this. The T20 will be inserted at the first index, and the first index will be the second now. As you can see, T1 equals to 20, T2 equals to 10. Another way to insert something in a table is T, and we are assessing which key we want to insert, and we say hashtag T. This basically means count how many items there are in T, and we say +1 equals to 30, for example. So at this point we had 1 and 2, and we added 1, so 3, and equals to 30. So T3 equals to 30. Just remember that hashtag and your table name will only count integers in ascending order. So starting at 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have like 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, it won't work. It will only count 1, 2, 3, and will return 3. And you can also put anything as a key. So you can put, for example, a string like t animals equals to friends, not food. Okay. And the same thing that I put in this line could be said as t.animals equals to friends not food. So these two lines are the same thing as above. And now I can print t_animals by saying, for example, t.animals, and that remembers me that animals are friends, not food. And now all these ways to insert a table we could make in this way. Let me create another table, t2 equals to a table, and I will insert let me just erase this. So we are inserting at the key 2, so it will be 110, 220, 330, and animals, not friends, not food. And the table 2 will be the same thing, so 10, 20, 30, and we can say animals goes to friends, not food. Okay, so these two tables have the same keys and the same values, but they are not equal. So if you try to print something like print t equals to t2, so we are asking is t equals to t2, we're gonna have a false value. This is because even though they have the same keys and each key has the same values, they are not the same thing. If I add something at the first table, it won't be added at the second because they are separate tables. Okay, so to iterate a table, and maybe we can compare something inside of the table if we want, we can use for key and v loops and also the functions pairs and ipairs. This function will make just a loop and go through all keys and values inside of it. So for example, for key value in pairs and pass the table t, do end. So this is basically a for loop. Instead of having just one value like we saw, like for I equals to number and number, here we have two variables, which is key and value. Sometimes it's written as key and v. You could put anything here you want, like item or my zing or anything. It's variable names. So let's go back. Key and value. And this function pairs will go through all keys inside a table. So for example, in the first loop, it will go through the key 1, and key will be equal to 1, and the value will be equal to 10. In the second loop, it could be key equal to 2, and value equal to 20. Third loop, key equal to 3, and value equal to 30. Fourth loop, key will be equal to the string animals, and the value will be equal to the string friends, not food. So let's print the strings. Print, and we say, for example, key, 2 dots, space, and let's add to key, the actual key. So this will print the string key and what is the key. And let's add also value and value. And let's print this. So key 1, value 10. This was the first loop. Now key 2, value 20. This was the second loop, the third loop, and the fourth loop. Okay? So there is a difference between using pairs and ipairs, which is the second function. Ipairs will only work in integers, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and they need to be counted upwards without gaps. So 1, 2, 5, 7, it will only go through 1 and 2, not 1, 2, then 5, and then 7. The main benefits, I think, is iPairs is faster. So if you know you will only go through integers, use iPairs. And also the pairs function don't have the same order each time. So there could be differences. For example, one time you run this loop and it will go like the strings first and then the numbers, or the strings will be different each time. And the iPairs is really consolidated to always go in the same order using just the numbers. So if you know it's just numbers, go with iPairs. If not, go with your pairs. Okay, so this is how you iterate a table. To remove things from table is quite easy actually. You go like t, let's remove before this loop. So t like 2 equals to new. So this is removing the key 2. And now if I print, these iPairs will have a gap, right? Instead of having 1, 2, and 3 as keys, we have 1, and 3, and it will print only the first key. Let's try it. So here you have only key 1 equals to value 10. You also have the but what if you want to remove the second key but reorganize the table, so like the value that were 3 go to the second one? You can use this function, call it table.remove, and then you pass the table, and which key are you removing? So we are removing the key 2. So now if we reprint, what happened is we had the key 1, key 2, and key 3, and when we remove it, this second one, the third one went to be the second one. So it shifted the upward keys. So this is the basics that you need to know about tables. Okay, so we now gonna make the script. I have already here our script with a print function, and let me close the actions list, and I call it item parameters randomizer. You can call it whatever you want, just remember to put your name first. And now we're gonna make that user settings area. So I will fast forward, but I will basically create 5 pairs of variables. So for example, local mean position equals to 0 and local max position equals to 0. So this will be our range of randomization. So we have position. Now let's create also for pitch. So this will be in semitones. And also create for rate. Remember, rate needs the minimum rate that you can have is 1, because if you have less, you can have less than 0. And you can't have 0 actually if you have an item. When you create an item, it will have the playback rate of 1, and if you stretch it, then the play rate will decrease, but it will never reach 0. So min rate equals to 1, max rate equals to 1. Sorry, don't need to command here. And we can check in your script if min rate or max rate are 0 or less, and if so, we need to cap this value to number really close to 0. So if min rate for is less than or equal to 0, then let's say min rate equals to 0. and or let's create another variable that isn't a user setting, but is called lower value, lower rate value, or a small rate value. I like this name, small rate value. So min rate equals to small rate value, and we went it. And let's do the same thing for our max rate. So if max rate is less or equal to 0, then max rate is equal to small rate value. So we just are capping. Oops, I forgot to put this value. So something like this should be fine, or even like this would be fine. I will put like this. And so just saying, okay, we can't go to 0. I will put a close number, but not 0. I have no idea what happens if you put 0 here. Probably it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and have you a 1 at some time. Or no. Oh yeah, you have. You can see here in the UI. 0, 0, 1. So this is probably the lowest value you can have in the Reaper. Cool discovery now. Okay. So we have our min rate. Let's put the local mean volume. So this will be in dB. So let's comment in decibels. And let's also comment here. Can't be 0. Local max vol equals to 0. Also in the decibels. Local min pen equals to 0. Local max pen equals to 0. So this is between less 1 and 1. So less 1 always to the out to the left, 1 out to the right. Okay. So this is the range we had. And now we're gonna need more functions. I won't go delve deeper in each function, so you already have the acknowledgement to read and understand each of the functions that I will give you. I will put a link on the description with all of these functions. So let me just open it here. So okay, I have it here. So you enter in this website that I put on GitHub with my account and some functions there. You just copy everything. If you want, you can read the comments to understand what each function do. And I will paste here. And also here is a great tip for scripts, for learning scripts. Go on people's GitHub, on people's scripts that you download, and see the functions that they made. And normally if they have license set as an open source, like or GPL or MIT licenses, you can use their functions. For example, all the functions that I have on my GitHub are with MIT. So you can go in some scripts that I made, for example, here live, and layers, the script layers. And here I have a folder called functions. And you can go, for example, in arrange functions. So here you have many functions that you can copy. And it's a really great way to learn about Reascripts, is going on people's functions and trying to learn how they make them, and even asking them if you can use in your project. Okay, so this is a really great tip to go to other people's functions and ask if you can use it or try to understand how they are done. So okay, we have here our functions, we have our user settings. Let's comment this, user settings, and here capping the value, and here we have the functions, and here we will have our code. Okay, so let's start the code. Okay, first things first, let's have our famous push equals to 0. And let's, as the last video, create an item table with all selected items. So cell items equals to a table, and let's count our selected items. Count selected media items. If you don't know the functions yet, go back to the famous website for MaxRam and read about them. As I already know, I will just go one on one. And I normally read what they need here just to remember. So here I need a project. So push, and this is all it wants. And oh, sorry, we need to make it return it in a variable. So count equals to this. So now let's make our for loop I equals to 0 until cnt last one do, and this is just the same thing as the last video. And local item equals to get selected media item push and I, and let's insert it on our table.insert, and let's get our cell item. Oh, sorry, items. I think this is better with in the plural, of course. It's not cell item, it's items. It's a table. Cell items, and what we want to insert is the item itself. And before this loop, let's check if user have any items selected. And here get selected items in a table. So what we're gonna check now if is there any item selected. So if cnt equals to 0, then we don't want to run the code if the user don't have any item selected. So we're gonna show a message to the user. So we search for message box, and here you see this function that wants a string, which is the message, like please select some item, the title, which is the title that will appear on the top of the window, and the type of the window. So if you want just a button, call it OK, or 2 buttons, call it OK and another cancel, or 3 abort, retry, ignore, etc. Yes and no. So we're gonna say just show message box. First thing, the message, please select some item. Close the string. And now the title. Let's put the same name of our script, item parameters randomizer. I hope I didn't make any typo. So unless the type, I just want a OK button, because I am just informing the user, and we will say here on the middle of the code return. So whenever your script reach a return line, which needs I think to be in specific places, like before I end, it will return, for example, a function. It will go back, but as we are not inside the function, this will just close the script. So if the user don't have anything selected, it will show the message box, and when the user clicks OK, it will return. It will just close the script. You can even put here a print. Here, I don't know. Just to debugging. If I don't have anything selected and I try to run the script, it say please select some item, just a OK button. If I click OK, it didn't even reach this print statement, and if I have it reached it, so I am using this return to finish the script. So get selected item in a table. Now we have our table of selected items. And now we're gonna iterate this table using iPairs because it is in the integers order. So for key or and item in iPairs, and we say which table, which is cell items, do, and just so you understand, our cell items tables look like this. So you have the cell items table, then for each key you have a number, for example 1, and this will return the item selected 1. And then you have the key 2, it will return the item selected 2, etc. This is how is the structure of our table. So here key will be a number or item index, we can call it. And here is the item itself, it's the proper item. And now inside this loop we will randomize the position, the pitch, and etc. So let's first randomize the position. So for this we're gonna use, first we are not randomizing between these two values. We are getting the item position and then using this range between these two values to randomize it. And not, for example, if this was 0 and 10, we are not randomizing between 0 and 10. We are randomizing using the item position plus this range between 0 and 10. So the first thing that we must get is the item position. So inside this loop, we're gonna get the item position. To do that, go to the famous website from XRAM and search for get item info is info value. Okay, get me the item info value. You have two. Get me the item info value and get me the item take info value. We're gonna use later the take. For example, the pitch is not from the item, it's from a take inside the item. But for now, let's get me the item info value. So this function needs first the media item, which we already have, and then it is asking, okay, but which information you want from this item. So for information, it wants a string. So for example, we can say be mute, pass this string be mute, and it will return if the item is muted. Or we can ask for the position, which is what we want, or the length, the volume, etc. So let's copy this, just click here, paste here, and let's say local pos equal to, so original pos, let's call it original position. And here in pair name we say, let's copy from the site so we don't have any errors, the position. Okay, the position, and this should print us the position. Let's say print arg pos. So if I have this item selected, it says the item is at 70 seconds. So let's check 1 minute and 10 seconds, that it's equal to 70 seconds. Okay, so it's right. Okay, so what we do now with this original position? So now we're gonna get a random position, which will be a random number float, which is the function that I passed to you, random number float on that website. So this wants first minimal value to be the lesser value, and the maximum value it can randomize, and if it will include this max value or is like almost to it, so we will include it. So random, we'll copy this, paste here. So minimal value is min pos, and maximum value is max pos, and this is true because we want to include max pos. So this will return a random number. So let's put another variable called new position equals to original position plus random position. And now let's set the item position with reaper dot set media item info value. So this we want three things. It's really close to get me the item info value, but now we are setting. So first thing it wants is the item, like this, like the get function. Oops. Okay, now it's a little better here. And the second thing it wants is, okay, but what information are we setting? So we want to set the position. And the third thing is the value it is setting to, the new value. So new position, new pass. Let's close it. So let's run it. Okay, it's doing nothing because our minimum and maximum position are equal to 0. So let's say, oh, and there is a problem that I forgot to address. So random number float is between minimum and max position. Here at minimum position, we must put it in seconds or milliseconds. So let's put in milliseconds. I think it's best to put in milliseconds. I like more, at least. But here the set media iPhone value and the get are getting in seconds, not in milliseconds. So our random number float that we are getting must be divided by 1000. So we are making milliseconds comes to seconds. And so minimal position will be between less 500 milliseconds and 500 milliseconds. And so now if I save it, it is randomizing the position. We can put some really big values here if we want to have more effect. Of course, this have a much more chance to go later. Okay, so now it's working. We are randomizing the position. Now let's randomize the rest of things. I will randomize the selected takes. So let's first comment the things we are doing. Randomize position. Randomize take. So let's randomize the active take. So let's first count the takes. Local cnt takes equals to count takes. And first thing it wants is a item. And now next thing is randomize the takes. So we're gonna have a math random. So local math random take index equals to math random, and we're gonna say cnt takes. Remember that math random will return a value between 1 and cnt takes, so we must do less 1 because we want between 0 and cnt takes less 1. So just make it all of these less 1. It will be all right. And last get, use the get take, and first thing it wants is the item, and the second thing is which take we are getting. So is this random index here. This will return a certain take, and then we finally can change the active take with set active take, and then we just need to pass the take. Okay, but there is a problem here. The first thing is that we don't need to randomize items that have just one take. The second thing is that some items don't have any take. For example, note items that we just write things like hello. These items don't have any take. So in the randomized take, we're gonna say after we count the numbers of take, we're gonna put if condition. So if count takes equals to to more than 1, then we're gonna do this. Okay, so now we are checking if the count takes are bigger than 1 to randomize it. And now let's randomize it, the pitch, the volume, and the pen, and the rate. All these 4 things are not set in the item itself, they are set in the take. So we will do this only for things that have 1 or more take. So if CNT takes for is bigger or equals to 1 or bigger than 0, then end. So randomize take parameters. Okay, so I'm getting confused with the amount of spaces here because I not use it with this ID. So here let's do our first thing with randomize pitch. So first thing is we are setting a random pitch between this range, and we are not using the item pitch. At least in my design, we are ignoring the current pitch. So we just gonna get a random value. So float number random and pass the minimum value that we want, which is min pitch and max pitch. So we will get a random value in this range. So this is local new pitch equals to this. And now we're gonna use a similar function that we used to set media item takes parameters, but this time it is with takes. So set media item take info, and it is here. Set media item take info value. So we copy it, paste it, and here it wants the new pitch will be here, the parameter name. So the parameter name that we want is for pitch. So let's see here. Here, the pitch. So parameter name, the pitch, and we don't put this space, and the take that it is randomizing. So because we randomized the take here, let's get it again. So get active take, and we pass the item. We are getting this take. So local take equals to this, and now we are probably randomizing the pitch of this take. Let's try it. So if I select this and put max pitch equals to 12, you can see here pitch equals to 7, 8.77. You can see also here it takes some time to update here. But okay, it's randomizing between 0 and 12. You could put also less 12 and less 24. And you get some number like less 23, etc. So okay, our pitch part is working. Let's randomize now the what we can randomize now. Let's randomize the pan. It's basically the same thing. So I will actually copy it. So new pan, random number between min pan and max pan. But now we must change here to new pan. And we don't want to change the pitch, we want to change the pen. So dpen is the name that we want to change. So let's try now to change the pen. Let's put between less 1 and 1. And you can see here it is randomizing the pen of the take. Okay, so that's all right. Let's randomize the volume now. Randomize volume. Same thing. Min, vol, and max. Vol. And this will return the new vol take d. And we want the parameter called dvol. Dvol. Dvol, all in upper cases. And this is new vol. But there is something here. Let's read it. Dvol, a double number, which is the take volume. So 0 is less infinite, 0.5 is less 6 dB, 1 is 0 dB, 2 is 6 dB. So this is the difference between setting dB and setting in linear. It wants the value linearly. So I have passed to you two functions, dB to linear and linear to dB. So we'll get this random number float between min and max volume, which the user is setting in dB. So like between 0 and 6 dB, right? So new volume is a value in decibels. So let's use our dB to linear to convert it. So you can say here new vol equals to dB to linear, new vol, and comment convert to linear. And now it should be alright. Let's try between 0 and 3 dB. And 0.5, 0.2, 2.8, 2.6 seems alright. So let's try another thing between less 12 and less 3, less 6, less 6, less 6, less 8, less 4, less 7. Okay, it's alright. You can also here we set it on the take. You could also insert in the item, because volume you have on the take, but you also have on the item itself. But it's up to you. I normally insert in the take. So randomize volume, and now let's put our last parameter to randomization, which will be a little more tricky, which is the rate. Randomize rate. Okay, what is tricky about rate? The trickiest thing about rate is that when you change the rate, let me put here an audio, can be this one, and let me just pick this part of the waveform. When you are making it, for example, twice as fast or thrice as fast, it also changes the length of the item. Let me go back. If you just change the rate, you are also changing the content, but it's not what we want. We want to change, keep the content, but just change the rate and the length, like we are stretching it. Okay, you can see when I do this, I am changing the play rate, but I am also changing the length value, because the length is changed together with the rate. If you make it like twice as faster, you will have many things in the same length. So for changing the rate, we need to change both things. So let's randomize the rate first. So local new rate equals to random number float, same thing, between mean rate and max rate. Okay, so now for considering rate and length, we need to get the previous value of rate and length. This because if the rate goes twice as fast, the length needs to go divided by 2. Okay, it will be half it. And if the rate goes to half of it was, then the length needs to be twice it. We need to double it. So let's get the previous rate and get the previous length. So original rate equals to get selected media item. Oops, sorry, not this function. We want to use same thing, but instead of set get media item take info, get media item take info value. You use this function. Let's paste here. So it wants the take, you already have it, and the part name, so it will be rate. Where is rate here? Where is rate? Let's go back. Oh, here. The play rate. So it's the play rate as a string. So this will return the original rate. Okay, now we're gonna check the ratio between these rates. So ratio equals to new rate over or divided by original rate. This will return the ratio between these rates. And now we're gonna divide the original length by it. So we need to get media item info value. Remember, we don't want take now. We're gonna get media item info value, not item take, because the length is of the item, not of the take. So here we passed the item, and we will say what we will say about the parameter. Let's put this function here, and let's search for length. Here, the length. Okay, so this will return the original length. Original length is this. So the new length will be the original length divided by ratio. This because if the new rate is, for example, 4, and the original rate was like 2, so the ratio is doubled. It's twice as fast. If it's twice as fast, the length needs to be divided because it's twice as fast. It's fastening it. And if it's the other way around, if the new rate is like 2 and the original was 4, so the ratio is 0.5, and then the length, the original length, will need to be divided by 0.5, which is the same thing as twice as long. So this is the logic on it. So we now set this information, set media item info value, and we say the item, and we say the length, and we say which is the length, new length. Oops, here. Oh, okay. First thing that I missed, we don't need this local here, just the function to set the item, and we need to set the rate. Of course, we're just setting the length. We need to set both. Set media item take underline info value here. Set media item take info underline value. So here take and display rate, and then the new ratio, the new rate, so new rate. And now let's try it again. Okay, so it seems to be working. As you can see, it's the same content that is being changed. Let's put just before this onset here. As you can see, it's working. So it's changing our ratio. And now let's change everything just to double check if it is working. 500, pitch, 12 and 12. Okay, so for now it's working. Rate, let's put 0.5 between 2. Let's 6 to 6. Span, less 1 to 1. Okay, so now you can see that it's working. Randomizing many things. I will also showing the spectral peaks because we can see the pitching being changed, which is kind of cool. So okay, this is a good way to randomize many items. And last thing that you must already know is that we need to finish the script with creating our update arrange, which we already talked. We need to create undo block. So we're gonna go, let me put less zoom here. Here code, after we check if the user have any item selected. So after this, we're gonna create our block, reaper dot undo block. So begin undo block, and we say the project, and at the end we end it. Reaper dot undo block and undo block 2. So project string, which is randomize item parameters, and last thing, flags the last one, and this we already talked about. Prevent UI refresh, Remember that we need to prevent while refresh. First we add and afterwards we subtract. So I am at the end of the script, I am subtracting. Copy this, paste here, and we add 1. So let's run again. So it's working and creating our undo block. So now, okay, and that is for today, probably a bit long video, and I hope you understand everything that I put here. I will also put the code on the description so you can read and will help you. Bye.